Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to try and figure out what Buzzfeed means when they say Americans get real about their relationship with the police. Because Americans is a very large group, and lately the only group that seems to have a problem with the police are black Americans. But Buzzfeed didn't say black Americans get real, so I assume they also mean white Americans. Let's see what they bring us.
You don't know which officer is going to show up. You don't know how they're going to react. You don't know how the script works. The script is non-existent for a lot of people, and that's where the problem is.
Well, the movie is in black and white, so you know they mean business. You know they are serious. And I know it's only a few seconds in and we only saw black people, but it's only a few seconds in, so that doesn't really mean anything. It could be white people still as well. The thing I find funny though is there is no script. Okay, so you call the cops and you don't know what cop shows up. Yeah, that is true. There's another part of that story, by the way. The cop doesn't know what he's showing up to. I mean, he could easily just be lured into a situation where he can get killed. Unfortunately, this is not me being negative. Shit like this actually does happen. And there is a problem with that. Because now you have police, law enforcers that do not know what they are going into when they respond to someone's distress call. So a distress call could actually be the last thing they will ever do in their life.
It's a dice roll a lot of the time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I turned off the music a little bit because it's annoying. And did you just say, in the wake of traumatic summer, we asked black New Yorkers for their take on police brutality? So how is this Americans get real about their relationship? Apparently, it's just black New Yorkers. Are they all the Americans that are out there? Really?
It's just one of those moments where like your mind just starts like racing. How, like, what road is this gonna go down? I feel like at this point you just like never really know.
Yeah, you're right. You don't know which way it is going to go. You can only influence your own behavior. But by influencing your own behavior, you can, in a way, make sure certain things happen in a positive way. Imagine that you don't know how it can go, but the police officer also doesn't know how it can go. Again, this call could be their last one. Every single time they go into a situation, this is something that is in their mind. Try to appreciate that. So next time when a police officer asks you something to do, comply. That way, he will feel safer too. Because the use of force is often an action of fear.
My parents, I forget what they were doing, but I was standing outside. I was 7 or 8, and I saw the police beat up a man. I remember not asking my parents about it because I had the very sort of visceral sense that this was just how things were.
Well, maybe these were the ways things were when you were 7. I don't know how old you are now, but they are not the way things are now. But when you do see a police officer beating on someone, that is not the best way and that is not the best time to intervene. Film it, and after the situation is done, ask another police officer what happened. Or talk to a reporter, or talk to anyone. But do not aggravate the police officers. Because they already live in the fear of getting killed every single day. And I know you like to pretend you do too, but in all fairness, you do not. There are plenty of black Americans who will tell you how to behave when you are confronted with police. Those black people getting killed by the police do not do that. And now we come to the heavy point of their video. A bunch of names, people that have been shot by the police. And first off, I would like to say that 3 people, Philando Castile, Samuel Dubose, and Deravis Caine Rogers, should not have been shot. It is quite clear that this is a case where the police actually really overacted. They really should not have been shot. So out of the 23 names, there are 3 right there I will completely concede. The situation as it looks now is that these people have been shot intentionally when they should not have. And officers in these situations have been detained or lost their jobs and might even go to jail. Now, then there are 5 more names, that, well, they died, but it's not something you can actually blame the police over. Nuna Laroche died because she was walking on the highway at 1 a.m. She got hit by a police car. Had she got hit by a car of anyone other than the police, she would still be dead. Bernard Moore died because he also got hit by a police car. This was an accident as well. Betty Jones died in a domestic violence situation. She got attacked by her neighbor, and when the police came up, they tried to subdue the neighbor, and eventually it turned into a gunfight, or at least the guns were fired. Unfortunately, Betty Jones died as well. She got hit by a stray bullet. And you know the saying, stray bullets can kill. Felix Kumi got accidentally killed by a police officer, basically in, roughly the same way, being at the wrong time in the wrong place. Felix Kumi was driver of a bus, and one of the people in the bus was doing a sting operation. They got attacked, robbed by, a criminal, and a gunfight ensued. And Felix Kumi, unfortunately, got hit as well. His death also was an accident. It's a terrible accident, but an accident nonetheless. And India Kager was in the car with a homicide suspect that was known to be armed. And during his arrest, gunfire was exchanged. And India died in the situation. Unclear is who started the shooting, but on average people blame the situation on the police. So what was the police to do then? Were they just to be shot at and let this homicide suspect get away? It is unclear whether India got killed by the police because they thought she was shooting at them too, or whether she got killed by the police bullet at all. But terrible as it is, again, this is an example of wrong place, wrong time. She should not have been killed. I agree with you on that. But I'm not blaming the police on her death. If anyone is to blame, I would say the guy sitting next to her pulling a gun is to blame. And then we go into the list of people who resisted arrest. To begin with, Eric Garner. I'm not even going to complete the whole story on Eric Garner, but okay, Eric Garner resisted arrest. Freddie Gray probably suffered injuries during his arrest that proved fatal on transport. He suffered these injuries because he resisted arrest. Jamar Clark. It is reported that he tried to get the gun from one of the arresting officers, resisting arrest. Ayton Sterling, reported to have a gun. Though the shooting itself seemed a clear example of police brutality, the fact that the dude was known to have a gun did kind of make the police edgy. Keith McLeod. He pretended to pull a gun on the officer while the officer already had a gun trained on him, calling out that he would kill the officer. Now, he didn't have a gun, but he pretended to have a gun. And the way he pulled his hand from behind his back as if he had a gun kind of was the reason why he got killed. There are movies on this. This is actually filmed. And you're blaming the police officer. This dude is resisting arrest and pretending he's going to shoot the officer. What was the officer to do? Wait to see if he actually had a gun or not? Jonathan Sanders. He choked to death during his arrest as he tried to swallow the drugs that caused him to get arrested. Christian Taylor. He was breaking into a car dealership. He got shot because basically his behavior was so erratic and dangerous that they didn't know what to do. Could they have used non-lethal force? Well, Maybe. But his blood test showed that he was pretty high on a cocktail of drugs. Brandon Glenn, he got shot. The officer claimed he was trying to get the gun of his partner. Now, video makes it look like this was not the case, but at the same time, he did get into a fight with the police, physically, so resisting arrest. Calvin Reed, he died after he got tasered. The police officer were cleared from any wrongdoing as Calvin Reed got aggressive with paramedics that found him cut and covered in blood. His behaviors forced the officer to use that taser. Again, resisting arrest. So, are we going to continue? Let's. Okay, let's look into Patterson Brown Jr. He was shot by a black police officer. Not a white one, a black one. And that police officer was off duty, so he was a civilian. So why did the civilian shoot Patterson Brown Jr.? Because Patterson Brown Jr. was trying to steal his car. I mean, are we really going to say that these police killings are part of brutality? The victims in this case are completely innocent? Really? But yeah, the list isn't done yet, so let's continue. Michael Marshall died in police custody. It's not really clear what happened, but it shouldn't have happened. Darius Robertson died whilst in the custody of the police. He fought with the jailers, but it is unclear what had happened. We do know that he was handcuffed, so maybe his death should not have happened as well. Natasha McKenna died in the custody of, well, the state. Not the police, but she was at, I think, a jail. This could most likely be prevented, and I think it should have been prevented. And Jonathan Paul died in the custody, also unclear of what the cause of his death was. Now, personally, I think if you die in the custody of, on average, your death probably could be, prevented. And I really hope it could. Now, sometimes people die in custody because they go into fights and they keep fighting until they're actually subdued. And this can also cause the death. This happens, unfortunately. I'm not 100% sure if their names should not be in this list, because we don't know what happened. But then again, because we don't know what happened to them, maybe they do need to be in this list. Then we have Wayne Wheeler. He died in a fight again with an off-duty police officer. It is said that Wayne Wheeler jumped into the garden of the police officer and attacked the police officer, who was at the time a civilian because it was his garden. The dude was having a barbecue or something. It is unclear what happened, but the fact that Wayne Wheeler was in the garden of the off-duty police officer kind of gives credence to the story. Now, there's a lot of back and forth going on whether Wheeler could or could not have been in the garden, but the fact that his body was there kind of makes it clear that he was. So I'm not sure what happened, but I'm not going to say the police did this. Again, the officer that was defending himself was off duty. And the last name on the list is Tommy Robinson. Now, it's quite unclear what started the shooting. The fact that he got shot is absolutely clear, but why is not. The one thing that is clear, though, is Tony Robinson wasn't black.
I think of all the other people who were doing nothing wrong and still got in a situation.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but what you're doing now is blaming victimhood where it should not be. Okay, so 3 people got killed by the police that were actually wrongdoings of the police. 5 people got killed by the police because they got in an accident. In whatever way, wrong place, wrong time. Then there were a few people who got killed by jailers, which is not the police. And then there's a large group out of those 23, roughly half of them, that got killed because they did something. They resisted arrest, or they pretended to have a gun, or they actually did have a gun and shot back. They're not Dindus. You cannot claim that they got killed because they were black in the wrong place. They got killed because they resisted arrest, because they fought, because they pulled the gun. I'm sorry, if these are your victims, then you're on the wrong side.
It's just the fear of knowing that I can do a million things that would seem harmless to me or anybody else, and that it could end my life.
How is resisting arrest harmless? How is pretending to pull a gun harmless? How is stealing a car harmless? Seriously.
You just look around and realize that the playing field is not level.
I definitely struggle with whether it's even fair or ethical to bring a black child into this world with things being the way that they are.
Well, considering that most black children come into the world in dysfunctional families, I totally agree with your question on that. But the question is not whether it's fair on the child. The question is whether it is fair on the child and on society at large. Because the problem is not the police brutality, it's the dysfunctional family systems. But yeah, no, let's keep blaming the police for this, shall we? I mean, it's not as if people committing crime are held accountable for the crimes they commit. No, not at all. Let's blame the police for trying to protect us.
It's a gamble to live in general. But I think there's a big difference between chance things that can happen and then there's people out here who will target your child.
Yeah, the death of Tamir Rice is indeed a good example of overreacting by police force. At the same time, though, the toy gun he was holding was the toy gun based on an assault rifle, and situations as they are, police tend to get killed more by black people. So I'm not excusing the police. I understand where they come from. In this case, though, I totally agree with you. Tamir Rice should not have been shot. It's a crime.
You know, they might be part of this ongoing theater of violence without repercussion. I don't know if I have that in me.
I can't recall a certain moment where I was like, oh, you know, now this happened, and so now as a result, like, I'm scared. I think just probably witnessing things over time, and I don't think these are necessarily new things, but with technology, we just see them a lot more instantly, and it's definitely intensified.
Well, you are partly right. We do see this more. There is an increase in these situations. But let's look at why there is an increase in these situations. At the moment of me making this movie, according to odmp.org, there have already been 92 police officers killed in the line of duty, or died in the line of duty. They not all have killed, but at least they died. 40 of them were killed by gunfire. So if we take a look at that Keith McLeod one again, the boy pretending to have a gun, whilst the officer has a gun trained on him, that officer has two options. He can take out the perceived threat, or he can wait to see what happens. Now, if Keith McLeod had really had a gun, that police officer would have been dead if he had waited. And he knows this. So unfortunately, the police officers are living in constant fear of their lives when they are doing their job. And the only thing we as civilians can do to change this is by complying what the police officer says. Even if we feel he is wrong, we can always address that later, when the situation is safer, not for me, but for the police officer. Because when the police officer comes and starts talking to me, I am the threat, not the police officer. The police officer is merely responding. So if I give him reason to feel threatened by me, or I give him reason to feel that he needs to use force, he has no other option. If I pretend to be a danger to him, he will have to deal with that danger whether it is true or not. Why can't you see this? Why do you play the victim card for black Americans when white Americans get killed? Well, more often, because white Americans make the same mistakes, don't get me wrong. But somehow it's always about you poor black people who have it so bad because the police kills you. Don't look at why the police kills you. Just look at the fact that the police officer is the one walking away. Well, in 40 cases, the police officer wasn't the one to walk away. But that doesn't count, right? Because they're not the one this is about. This is about black people. And out of the 23 you list, only about half of them are actually innocent. Don't get me wrong, one is too many. One innocent killed is too many in my account. Don't get me wrong, I truly believe that. But why can you not look at the behavior of these victims of yours? Because, as I said, half of them have only to look at themselves to find blame.
I love to walk late at night, and while I'd like to think that I present as pretty unassuming and non-threatening, there's always a chance that someone could not see me that way.
You know, by all means, feel free to walk late at night. You should be able to. But I advise you not to do so in a black neighborhood. Because you like complaining on how the police kill black people. They are going to pick up their game by 40 if they are going to be close to the amount of deaths caused by police, to compare them to death caused by other black people. The primary cause of death for black people between the age of 15 and 35 in America is homicide. So I'm not sure you have to worry about the police, my friend. The chance that you are going to get killed by another black person is 40 times as high.
Stay safe, but also like don't let it like change who you are.
I don't want them to make us be afraid to love and to have families.
Who is making you afraid? Is the 300 people a year roughly killed by police officers really that big of an issue to you? Is that issue really a lot bigger than the thousands killed by other black people? And what is breaking up these black American families? I mean, is it the police violence, really? Are they coming into your house and when you have a nice night with your partner, are they kicking him out of the house because he's black and you're black? I don't think that happens.
All cops need to play by the same rules, and those rules need to be that everyone is treated equally. That's what's at the core of all of this.
I cannot believe how much of an hypocrite you are. So, we are all to be treated equal? Then explain to me this. Considering the amount of interaction black people have with the police and white people have with the police, white people get killed more by the police than black people. Yet we're always talking about how black people get killed by the police. And out of the 23 names you yourself selected, only 3 were wrongful killings by the cop. The rest were accidents or people resisting. Is resisting something that should get you killed? Well, no, I would agree to you that it should not get you killed. But at the same time, it does, because you're resisting and they do not know whether you have a gun or not. And you pretend that black people are so afraid of the police. Again, the main cause of death for black people, for black youth, boys, between 15 and 35 is other black people. Homicide is more prevalent than heart disease, accidents. It's almost as if getting killed while you're being black is dying of natural causes. And it's not because the police keep killing them that much. It's because black people are killing black people so much. There is so much crime in the black communities that a lot of black people will actually tell you that they will have nothing to do with these black people. Hell, look at Milwaukee. These black people burning down their own neighborhood because a thug stole a gun and threatened the police with it, and he got shot. And because of this, they are burning down their own neighborhood. And then the sister of this poor little victim is telling them, stop burning our neighborhoods, go into the suburbs, burn their neighborhoods. And these are the people you're defending? The hypocrisy in you is mind-blowing. People like you are pushing for race wars. Why can't you listen to black people that tell you to stop this? And there are plenty of black people who are telling you, stop this. But they're not the black people you want to hear. Morgan Freeman? No, that's not you. That's not on your watch. Now, I can give you a list of black people that spoke out against Black Lives Matter. I'm not going to. I'm sorry, I'm going to be lazy now. I'm going to put an end to this. I'm not even going to continue the last bit. I am going to say that the hypocrisy, once again, in your movie is mind-blowing. Real Americans deal with the relation with the police. You're just talking about black Americans. And you're not even talking about all the black Americans. You talk about the black Americans who like to play victim. Who like to pretend their life is so bad because of the police. But hey, they didn't do nothing. I'm sorry. Stop being a dindu. Anyway, this is going to be the end of my little video. Please like, share, subscribe if you feel I had something to say that actually made sense. If not, criticism, as always, is more than welcome. I will have put a few links down. Yeah, be good.